But we have an opportunity on Wednesday night, so I'm not looking anything ahead of Bristol City. And as I said, Dean Holden, and who's obviously first job and who's done very, very well in that, been there a few years, knows the club inside out, and obviously knows the players. And I think if you look at the players, some really talented footballers in their group, really talented, a really strong group of players. They've got a few injuries. And it's a club, as I said, that has been trying for a few years to get in the Premier League. I think sometimes when you look at it and sort of, not patting ourselves on the back, our journey going through the sort of the Championship in double quick time, and landing in the Premier League. I think sometimes when you look at the likes of Bristol City and how difficult it has been for the likes of them, what they've invested into the team and the amount of quality players that they've got, and some incredible clubs in the Championship that are not playing in the Premier League. It shows you, how difficult it is to get out of the Championship, and how tough a division that is. With, as I said, the historic clubs that are in there, and the quality that division possesses, and still the likes of Bristol City, it's a real arm wrestle to get out of it. But as I said, coming into Wednesday night's game, they've got players that have played against our players, and they'll fancy their chances just as much as we fancy our chances to get through to the quarterfinals.
In terms of the league, obviously it's a tall order to stay up from the position you're in, but are you feeling a lot more positive about the season given the performances in the last few weeks? Are you still quite upbeat?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, the players, in terms of their attitude all season. I keep saying to everybody, and I'm sure that it might hit home one day. This for us, is an incredible challenge. This division, we keep saying it. We're setting up to survive. We understand that, and quite a few clubs are. So when you don't get it as right as possibly we would have liked to have done, and fine margins and all the other stuff that I keep saying about it, it is incredibly tough. But we keep going, and the attitude of the players has given themselves opportunities in every game this season, or 90% of the games, as seen by the results. But what's happened over the last sort of 2 or 3 weeks is that we've got the wins that maybe we should have got early on in the season. So that has given us a bit of confidence. And obviously in that was 2 games that we would have expected to win in the FA Cup, which we have done. But even that's given us a little bit of a boost, and winning away at Man United and running Man City, close or not getting smashed. And even the other night not getting smashed, and being competitive, trying to bridge the gap, because the gap, I keep saying to everybody, the likes of us is absolutely huge. And what we're trying to do, what I'm trying to do as a manager and the coaching staff, and what the players are trying to do is to bridge that gap, to be competitive, to make it not one-way traffic, to see if we can get a result out of these games, and we're doing that. So even in defeat, we're showing signs, and hopefully we can continue with that.
And final one from me, just a quick one on the situation with Mike Dean and the online abuse and the threats that he's received over the last few days. Chris, is there almost a responsibility on us all as players, managers, media, pundits to sort of understand the consequences sometimes of the comments that people make about referees? And is there anything that can be done?
I think, I'm from an age, obviously, where I wasn't using, and I still don't use, social media, and I do understand the benefits of bringing people together and from a communication point of view and all stuff like that. But this isn't all one-way traffic with how good social media is, and for me it's disgusting. I think everybody in the game that's that's been involved in the game, and I suppose people that you know, even you guys, I should imagine some of the stuff that you put on there, you might get absolutely slated and some stuff that comes to you. So I think we all get affected by it. So for me, you know, the people that run these organisations have got an incredibly look at themselves and take the biggest responsibility, and I think it's disgusting. You know, Mike Dean is an honourable referee. You know, a really decent guy. I've got to know him over sort of the last couple of years, 3-4 years, and refereed our games. And these guys are doing the best, and the players are doing the best. And managers and coaches and everybody connected to the game are doing the best and don't deserve this. And it's disgusting. You know, the individuals need absolutely nailing, and I wish I could nail them in my way, but I'm not allowed to. But hopefully other people will be able to do that in maybe the way that they should do. But we've all been subject to the abuse, and I just think it's disgusting, cowardly, inhumane, and I don't think there's any other words I can really describe it. You know, there's nothing positive about what's going off. Whether it's anything from a racial point of view, whether you know, from what's gone off over the weekend, and as I said previously, that we've all suffered with it and continue to suffer with it, and really should make a stand and shouldn't have to. And you know, I've not got the answer. I've not got the answer to it, but I'm certainly sure there's more intelligent people that can come up with something that can stop this and punish people and regulate it in a lot better way than it is happening now. So I think that's my personal views on it.
Cheers, Chris. Thanks a lot. All the best tomorrow as well.
Cheers, Tim.
Cheers.
Hi, Chris. Hope you're well. If I may just sort of continue with that theme for a moment of social media, has it got to a stage with any of the Blades players or staff where it's become almost unmanageable? We kind of bracket abuse and in some respects dismiss it at the same time as it being that's football, but it's been a particular big problem.
It isn't. It
isn't. It certainly
no, in life, nobody should be allowed to get away with it. You know, there's things going on at the moment at this football club that I can't really open up on, but you know, players and the like have received this, and it's just not right. It isn't, and it's not acceptable. And it's not acceptable, you know, and I think that the media companies are getting away with it, absolutely getting away with it and making money at the same time. And it's not acceptable. I think players have got a responsibility, of course, yeah, a big responsibility. You know, there is part of this, the social media world that is very, you know, advantageous to everybody, and bringing people together, whatever platform it is. You know, some really good bits of it, but there's some disgusting bits of it that are not acceptable, completely not acceptable. And we've all suffered. We're in the spotlight, in the public spotlight, and we all receive it, and it's not completely not acceptable. We receive it, our families receive it, and it's not on, and something has to be done about it. And for me as well, you know, knowing a little bit about this as well, you know, without going too deep into it, Andy, you know, the police have to you know, deal with these situations, and well, as I said, from my own personal opinion, should they not have to deal with this, and they have to deal with even though this is a big situation and it's disgusting and it's not acceptable. Surely, you know, the police and the police force and our police force in this county have enough on their plate with having to deal with this and going out to see people and talk to people and having to go through the process of dealing with this, when I'm sure that they would like to be doing a lot of other things that keep our city, that keep our our area safe and doing the right things from that point of view. No,
definitely, 100%.
They don't go into the police force. Surely these people, these people that, the women, the men and women that join the police force, they don't want to go into the police force just to spend 90% of their time dealing with social media. Surely not.
So to that end, then it's the companies, isn't it? That
100%, 100%. There's got to be a way around it. You got to give something up. You've got to give up, your passport details up, or you've got to be allowed to be going on this. What are people scared of then? If I want to go on social media and I have to give my passport details up, I'm saying to social media, well, I'm going to participate in this on these platforms, but I run the risk of things happening. That if I break rules and regulations and be offensive and abusive and step over the line. So police don't want to having to do this. I'm sure that I know people that are in the police force, and I think they're worn down by it and tired by it, and would rather be doing a lot more things that are beneficial to our fabulous city that we live in than having to go and visit people and do other bits and pieces to tidy the mess up that's been made and created. And as I said, a lot of positive things regarding social media, but I think the social media companies have certainly got to take a huge amount of responsibility, if not all the responsibility of what's happening. Just
finally on this then, do you get the sense that because of, well, the latest high profile incident and many others, no doubt, that go unchecked, that football as an industry in itself has finally got to the point where it's starting to hit back, I suppose, for want of a better way of describing it?
Yeah, it's got to. What do we do? As I said, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Andy. These are just high profile cases. Take away footballers, and I'm sure there's other bits and pieces that happen. From the younger generation to younger generation, right the way through. And everybody has to hit back, and certainly football has an opportunity of doing that, and it has to. But it'll happen in all walks of life, and it's unacceptable. Obviously, it is high profile because of the nature of the football and the business, and then it goes even more high profile with the likes of what's happened to Mike Dean and what's happened to the two boys at Manchester United from a racial point of view and other situations. But I'm sure that this is just the tip of the iceberg, really, and I just think it's completely unacceptable that these things are allowed to continue, allowed to happen.
It's a huge topic, but if I may go on quite the sideways shift now, has anything developed in the sense of team news and what have you? You were expecting Moussa to return to training this week?
Yeah, he has done. Ender's trained today, which is good. Good news for us. Lisa's trained today, which is good news for us as well. So we're hopeful that they're both involved on Wednesday night.
All right, that's a big plus, isn't it?
Yeah, good bit of good news. Yeah.
And after periods of time where are you with Moussa starting to get to the bottom of his injury problems to the point where he might be a consistent player involved in the squad?
There's two parts of that, Andy, if I'm being honest. Our point of view in terms of getting to the bottom of his few issues, and really there has to be a big push via the player now to participate, to add something that we know he has got for him to bring those qualities to the table. So he understands our feelings on him, and I'm not chucking him under the bus, but there's certain things that he can control and he makes choices on. Obviously, there's been a couple of high-profile bits and pieces recently as well that I am and he is disappointed about. But he has to make a contribution as well for a second part of the season, and I need everybody to make contributions. So Lisa's in the same, a responsibility to get us out of the situation that we're in, and I think everybody knows that. But I want it to happen, but he's got to make it happen as well and want it to happen as well. And fingers crossed he can do, getting over these little bits and pieces that he's got that have hampered him. That it's been difficult for him, but there's other bits that he can do better, which he understands from my point of view.
Speaking of contributions and increased ones, Keane Bryan certainly had one over recent weeks, and really developed, hasn't he? How do you assess that period of time in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe?
It's just been, as I've said before, the players that have not been playing any football, it's really difficult because obviously from the situation in the 23s and coming out of our bubble and going into their bubble and not being able to then come back into our bubble. So just to answer that question regarding the 23s, and one or two of those players playing games in there is sometimes not at all beneficial for them. But then players trying to get game time as well. Obviously, behind closed doors games we can't arrange those. From Keane's individual point of view, he's been a little bit frustrated with injuries that he's had. He had an injury after the West Brom game, and but he's a talented boy, and obviously, as we talked about after the game against Chelsea, he knows, and we all know that if you make a slight mistake, which he did, unfortunately, it usually ends up in the back of the net, which it did. Even though looking back at it now, I know Graham Souness said something about it on Sunday, and I didn't really have an opportunity and an ability to really look at that in depth. I think that, again, the smartness and the cuteness of these players in the Premier League really make that decision for the referee. And I didn't think it was as straightforward as maybe what it looked at the time from where I saw it. But as far as Keane's concerned, he's got a part to play with the rest of the season. Obviously, from Jack's situation that we keep talking about is that, that is really complex situation from him. So Keane can play that position. Obviously, Ethan's played it before Keane, and Keane's got a part to play for us, and hopefully he can build on some encouraging performances so far from the turn of the year.
He was a player that obviously, because there were players ahead of him in the pecking order. But is he done enough? And I dare say it's probably too early to ask this question, whether he's worth another look for next season, whatever happens.
Well, of course, there'd be opportunities in training and opportunities in games for Keane. So, I've not really looked regarding next season. There's still a long way to go in this season, and sort of plans and whatever for what happens. As you can imagine, full focus has been on the group of players, and Keane's part of it. But he'll have opportunities, and as always, it's up to him to grab them and force the issue. But he's a good character. It's been difficult for him. He came to us, as I said, from Manchester City and been in their setup and system. And it's not been straightforward for him, but he's with us between now and the end of the season, and he has that opportunity, as I said, to force the issue. And there's no downside in doing well, whether it's here from a contract extension point of view, or somewhere else. And he has to have that in his head every time he steps out onto the pitch.
Just finally, how would you sum up the importance of this season's FA Cup? Because the consistent levels of performance have gone along in the Premier League this year, but in the Cup, at least, you got the first win, and then it's kind of blossomed from there.
Yeah, I think, you have to take every situation on its merits and where you are. And it was important that we played a strong side in the game against Bristol Rovers, and back that up with the Plymouth game. I want to win games of football, no matter what. I think everybody recognises that we don't get to this position in our careers without accepting defeat lightly. So, but there has been prioritised games in my time here, as you can imagine, and obviously we've backed that up with the success that we've had. But when we get deep into a competition, which we are getting into now, then there's an opportunity of achieving something. Then we will do that, and that has always been the case in the FA Cup for me at Sheffield United. But the two games definitely took on more importance this season, maybe they have done in the past, and I think that's I think people will understand that.
Right. Thanks very much. Best of luck tomorrow.
Cheers, Andy. Thanks.
So.
Hi, Chris.
Ian.
How are you?
I'm cold, mate.
Not the only one. I bet you got more snow than me as well.
Yeah, we have.
Just quickly going back to the social media. I know you spoke at length of it. When you said you couldn't open up about what was going on at the football club, are you hinting that there are players or staff at the football club that have been attacked on social media by abuse?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
I think
I'm not gonna come out and talk about it, but there's ongoing stuff at our football club with the police. Yeah, there is ongoing stuff. So that's as much as I'll say about it. And as I said, I don't think the police should be dealing with this, but they will deal with it in the best of their ability, and they've been brilliant. But there's online attacks, and as I said, I think it's the tip of the iceberg. There's no doubt. I've known you for a long time, and you say it as it is, and imagine you get stuff that you look at and go, and that's. I'm not saying that anybody's any different. We're all getting it. You're not giving it out. You're making an honest opinion about something and giving your personal views, and that's what these platforms and these organisations are there for, not for the other part to get abused disgustingly. And then I'm sure you have, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, 100%.
But you're looking at it and going, where do I take this? And I think sometimes it crosses the line, and it certainly crossed the line at our football club. Hence, there's situations that are happening.
And I guess that might have derailed to a certain extent your concentration this season.
Well, it's something that we shouldn't be having to deal with. Full stop, innit? So that's the way I'm at with it. Nobody should have to deal with it. There's arguments, there's banter, there's debate. It's at times, and as I said, I'm not on it, but you get to find out bits, and and it's up front, and people don't agree with people and whatever, but there's a line, and it's been incredibly stepped over the line for everybody, and I just don't think it's acceptable. Completely not acceptable.
100%. You've also said that the gap is huge between the teams in the Premier League and yourself. That wasn't the case last season, or it didn't look the case last season. Can you explain why you think it's more the case this season?
Perfect storm, Ian. Players are in form, taking big moments, settled side, 30,000 at Bramall Lane.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
Yeah. So, so many tight games last year that we just, with the help of the support, with the help of a settled side, with my main actors playing to the top of the game, to the opportunities that we haven't taken, from an injury list that I've never had to deal with at any club over 20 years that we've had here. So a perfect storm that allowed us to gain those results. But you look at every result that we had, or there's not, I even look, maybe one of our most comfortablest of games, but that was never done until, and never comfortable in that game. I'm not being a negative manager, but we were 3-0 up in one game, and how the Premier League and the quality it has, that all of a sudden 1 turns into 2 and 2 turns into 3, and obviously we had the nightmare situation of that happening in the Championship when Sharpie got an hat-trick at Villa Park. We went top of the league with about 5 minutes to go. The idiot manager took him off. Then all of a sudden, bang, bang, bang. We're walking off and we've got a draw. We managed to, what is that phrase? Snatch
a draw from the jaws of victory.
Yeah, something like that. So these games last year were ultra tight, every one of them. And we got on the other side of those results. I think you look at your team now. I mean, they've been fabulous, haven't they? They've had a brilliant run, and quite a lot of them games have been tight. I think a lot of people in the Premier League will say that. Whereas West Ham last year maybe were on the receiving end of results, and that's an incredibly established Premier League club. So it's going to be different for a team that's only in their second season in the Premier League out of 20 odd years or whatever it is, third time in 20 odd years, 25 years. So it's going to be double difficult for us when I talk about those situations, which facts. We're not deflecting. We've not been as good. I've made some poor decisions, but when you do that, you make those decisions, and the other things that are factored in, the Premier League hurts you. But our performance against Chelsea, we had a great run of results against the Arsenal and Chelsea last year. There was no difference in our performance against Chelsea this year than there was last year. The incredibly tight games, but we just took those big moments and managed to get the results.
Only 3 sides from outside the Premier League left in the competition. So does the magic of the cup still exist?
Yeah, it has a different feel to it, doesn't it? And I know Daichi was talking about him getting through to the semi-final. And Andy Morris, my pal, playing at the top of the pitch, and the goal that wasn't given. And I know quite a few people that played in that team. It seems that way a little bit now, doesn't it? That it really seems a powerful competition, doesn't it? I mean, I remember us getting through to the quarterfinal last year, and it was packed full of the top teams, and obviously us. So it's sometimes the draw, obviously, sticking the Premier League teams together that allows a team to come through on the rails. But there's some teams, some good teams still left in it outside the top flight that can win games of football. Bristol City can beat us. As I said, they've got some good players. They've got an established championship club that are desperate to try and get into the Premier League. And they've got a really good group of players that on their day can hurt us definitely and have a run at it. So I think we always look to maybe a League Two or League One side or a Championship side getting through to sort of quarterfinals and semi-finals. But it seems obviously it's double difficult at the moment.
And finally, you don't need help with speeches before the game to your players, but might you take something from the England cricket win and whatever Joe Root's been saying to his players before you send them out to battle? I mean, that must have put a smile on your face this morning watching that England win in India. Yeah,
fabulous. And as we said last week, we sent a message from the football club just being proud of what Joe's achieved, and he keeps going on from strength to strength. And just listening to it this morning for 10 minutes, I don't think there's any stopping him in terms of his personal achievements that is in front of him in terms of highest scoring Test batsman for England. I know he's overtaken Michael Vaughan, who's a pal of mine, who's a Wednesdayite as well. So that's a win for us. In terms of captaining England's side to Test victories. So Vaughan will be a bit gutted this morning. No, he won't. Kid. But no, Joe's been brilliant, and yeah, it's fabulous to see him going well and the team going well.